Yo guys, what's up? It's Cherry here, coming at you guys with the week 1 of the PBAL, your Rose Tower, your Philadelphia Melmetals. I don't think I'm ever gonna let go of Rose Tower Camarages, but your Philadelphia Melmetals are going against Coach SW, aka a math lover just like me, aka coach of the Bundy Bisharps in a week 1 showdown. Now, this video, disclaimer, this video will be post-com. However, if you do want to see the live commentated version, I highly suggest that you go down in the description, go to SW's channel. His draft analysis is up. He's really cool. He's really chill. I like his nicknames and things like that. Awesome dude. But please go check him out, as well as all the other coaches that are in the description below. But I want to give a huge shout out to Lukas, as always, for screencasting this match for me. He also gets a kick out of it because he can insult me while I'm muted, you know, and I can't do anything or retaliate about it. So, you know what? It's cool. It's a win-win. So, without further ado, we're going to get started. A little context on this. So, his team, it had things like the 6 that he's bringing. I was expecting Vaporeon, Nidoqueen, Colossal, Weavile, Inteleon, Rillaboom, a little bit Buzzwole as a switch into what is that mon called? The Electric Dragon. Yeah, right, Dragonairs. Yeah, that's on my team. Maybe also Comfey, but it's Heartwall by Corviknights, and maybe Mesprit. So those are the few things that I were thinking. The main 6 I said before, but maybe Buzzwole swapped out for something else on his team, but I was expecting the main 6 that I said. But without further ado, we're going to get right into it. He did bring the exact 6 I thought he would bring. I thought he would swap out Buzzwole for maybe something on his team, but honestly, I think this is his prime 6. His 6 that he brought was just amazing, and looking at it from team preview is just scary. But I'm just going to pause here. So we have Rocky Helmet Corviknight for Weavile, as I have no switch-ins to Weavile. So well, that's a lie. If he's not banded Weavile, my switch-in is always Corviknight. If he is Life Orb Weavile, it's a roll, but my switch-in is still Corviknight. And on top of that, he's going to take 10%, and he's going to take the Rocky Helmet chip. If he's banded, though, I still have no switch-in, and then I have to sack Corviknight in order to get rid of Weavile, because Weavile is a huge threat. Another big threat on this team is Inteleon. I was so scared of Focus Energy and Inteleon. Focus Energy and Inteleon pretty much won. And yes, Dragonairs would have outsped, but if there were no, if there wasn't Sand up, and he stalled out Sand really well, oh yeah, he definitely had the game with Focus Energy. Another annoying mon, I guess you could say, is Vaporeon as well. Vaporeon can give wishes to things like Nidoqueen and Colossal, both of which are really bulky, and my defensive core doesn't necessarily like, minus, I guess you can say, Seismitoad, but Seismitoad was meant for to be a backup check to Inteleon before Focus Energy. After Focus Energy, I'm sacking that thing and bringing in Chandelure and killing it. Or my Clefable, which is why it's Life Orb, so I can get the roll on Thunderbolt. But enough context. In prep, I said I'm always leading Azelf. Not going to change it. Azelf lead applies a lot of pressure as well. I could have also led Chandelure. I think offensive Chandelure lead is a nice lead as well. However, the only problem with that is if he is Spadef Colossal, then I'm forced to switch out. He gets free rocks. So I just thought Azelf was a really good lead, because I was 4 attacks and I literally hit everything on his team for super effective damage. So with something. So I thought it was pretty free. But nonetheless, like I said in team preview, even though we're still in team preview, I'm very scared of Weavile, very scared of Inteleon, very scared of Vaporeon, just pretty much scared of his whole entire team. Like, his whole team is literally full of some very aggressive yet bulky threats that threaten me, especially like Nidoqueen and things like that. Like, my team has, like, my only switch in a Nidoqueen is my AV Scrafty. That is like Spadef. Like, I wasn't messing around. But he leads Rillaboom. Good lead on his end, as I decide to lead Azelf. Like I said in team preview, I hit everything super effectively. I could U-turn out on this thing, but I was thinking, like, U-turn. Grassy Glide is scary. He doesn't know how I play. I don't know how he plays. So he could just very well go for the Grassy Glide here. So I didn't want to risk it. I said I'm just going to make the obvious play into Corviknight. If he clicks knockoff, then that's kind of bad. But at the same time, I have no other play, honestly. Nothing else really wants to come in on Rillaboom. So, yeah. So I pretty much, I was thinking like, he's probably going to click Grassy Glide or knockoff. Knockoff is a good middle ground play. But I can hit you pretty hard depending on my set, which he doesn't know I'm expert about. But I do decide to switch out into my Corviknight. Ed Allan Poe, that references his poem, The Raven, that I read in middle school. But he decides to switch out, and he predicts my Corviknight switch in and goes to Colossal, which was an amazing play done by him. That was great. I was like, oh, okay, so that might have been, you know, I don't know how bulky the Colossal is, so maybe it was meant to take a Psychic. But Psychic against a Water Pulse just nukes this thing. I kind of wish I stayed in and clicked Psychic. But I think I made the safest play. However, here I'm going to make yet again another obvious switch in to Seismitoad here. Seismitoad was kind of meant for this. It was also meant for backup check to Empoleon, which I can sacrifice some HP on this. But I go into Seismitoad. He clicks Rocks, which was a good play on him. And here is my first misplay of the game. I should have clicked Rocks or Toxic or even Earth Power if I wanted to attack this thing. Earth Power hits harder than Scald. Or no, yes, that's correct. They're both stab. But I clicked Scald knowing full well that there's a Vaporeon in the back that can always come in. So that was a huge misplay on my end. I should have just, if I wanted to attack, I should have clicked Earth Power. Otherwise, I think Toxic was my better play. But instead, I click Scald. He switches into Vaporeon. Good play on him. I'm thinking about Toxicking, but I kind of wanted to set Rocks first because I felt that Rocks were more valuable to me than Toxic because he could potentially have Heal Bell. So I didn't really want to waste my time clicking Toxic only to have a Heal Bell because I was fully predicting a Toxic here. Which, yeah, like I was like, hey, they're going to Toxic here. I'm just going to click Rocks because I think Rocks are better. And I'm just going to let this thing get Toxic. So, yet again, another misplay done by me. But I don't really want to stand on this thing because it can click Wish and it can start racking up damage on me with Toxic. Or it can just click Protect. Like, I think most Vaporeons run Mono Scald or Mono Flip Turn, and that thing can't touch me. So I'll probably click like Wish or something like that. Or it may have Ice Beam. Never know. But I went into my Clefable, and he decided to click Wish. Now, here, I mean, this is a weird turn. I wouldn't consider this a misplay, but I should have thought about this more. So, the obvious switch-ins to this are Nidoqueen and Colossal. Now, I guess you can say Thunderbolt covered the Colossal switch-in, but I think I should have clicked Wish, honestly, but clicking Moonblast will get chip on what's coming in, which is Nidoqueen. And I guess I can tell what type of Nidoqueen this is, but at the time I wasn't calcing because I was so stressed with if I disconnected and I didn't see the screen. But it just heals everything back up. So he pretty much got Nidoqueen in for free, which was an amazing play by him. But here I'm like, I could go into Corviknight. Sludge Wave is quite possible, so is Earth Power. That covers both. But at the same time, I need Corviknight healthy for Weavile. So I have no reason not to go into my dedicated switch-in being the Scrafty. So, yeah, I just go into Scrafty. His team also doesn't like knockoff. I can knock off someone. If you're Life Orb, I can knock that off. Lefties, Black Sludge, like, and he clicks Fire Blast, predicting my switch into Corviknight. I was like, okay, good. I'm glad I went into my dedicated switch in. And here I'm like, knockoff is so free. I had Zen Headbutt for Buzzwole, But knockoff is so free. His team doesn't like knockoff. The best thing that can really come in on a knockoff, depending on your set, could actually be Nidoqueen. It could probably stay in depending on its set, but otherwise this also is probably your best switch in because you still have Wish in the back so you can heal yourself. But Vaporeon comes in, that does a lot of damage. I click knockoff and I knock off their leftovers, which is great for me. And here I'm like, you're gonna Wish up on me, obviously, so I can click Drain Punch here and I can gain back some of my HP so that I can come back in on Nidoqueen, because that damage, it was quite a bit of damage for a Fire Blast. Like, that was quite scary. But he clicks Wish here. I'm like, okay, I can click Drain Punch here, and that does quite a bit of damage. Another one won't kill, but I heal back so much. I'm back at where I took, well, I'm back at the HP that I had when I took Rocks upon switching, which I think was really, really nice. But here, I was debating whether or not to make an aggressive into Azelf, but in the end, I decided, hey, I'm Spadef, like fully Spadef, Clefable. I can just go into this. I eat any hit. If you want to Scald, you can. If you want a Toxic, you can. However, I'm predicting a Protect. So, Clefable was my best play. I take a Snipe Shot, crit Life Orb at like 94, 93%. That's the high roll. So I'm pretty much okay, in my opinion. But he clicks Toxic, so I'm like, okay, I guess. And here, I think I make another misplay. I should have wished, because the switch in to Nidoqueen is so free on his end, and he can just make another prediction. So I should have clicked Wish, but I click Moonblast. I don't know why I click Moonblast. Maybe I was trying to gauge how much damage, like, I guess, like, nothing is getting a Wish, so I guess I can try and, like, scout items or, like, see how much everyone is taking. But I really should have just clicked Wish. That was, but I get off like 12%, which is nice, I guess. And here I can just click Wish, honestly. Even though I didn't click Wish last turn, I can definitely click Wish this turn. And I can bring in something like Seismitoad, or I can make an aggressive into Azelf, or I can even bring in Corviknight aggressively and click Defog. Like, I can do many things with this Wish. I eat any hit from this Colossal, minus maybe Heavy Slam or Heat Crash. Those will do a lot of damage. But other than that, I eat a Flamethrower, I eat a Scorching Sands, I eat an Ancient Power, I eat any special move from this thing. So I'm not too worried. And here I'm thinking, why, instead of going into the obvious Seismitoad, why don't I just make an aggressive into Azelf? I eat anything it wants to go for, minus a Heat Crash. And honestly, I don't think you attack this turn. I do nothing to you, and it's just free hazards, in my opinion. But he clicks Spikes. I'm like, okay, this is fine. I can heal back the Stealth Rock chip, which is nice. And here, I'm like, I can just click Water Pulse. Nothing on your team wants to take a Psychic, so you're switching to Azelf was this. So I don't know whether, like, I don't know if this is your switching or not, but Water Pulse is going to do a lot of damage. However, he, I guess, predicts me to click Water Pulse and actually goes into Vaporeon. So great play on his end, I guess. And he's going to heal 25% of his health. And here, I'm like, I can just click buttons now. I can click Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is so free, honestly. You're not going to go into this and then double into Nidoqueen. That's kind of weird because you have no Psychic switching. But I click Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt does so much damage. And he clicks Wish. And here I am fully expecting a Protect. I am fully expecting a Protect. So I'm like, if you don't Protect for some odd reason, I could just click Psychic. You could also go into Nidoqueen aggressively on my Thunderbolt. So, you know. But I was fully expecting a Protect here. I wasn't, like, expecting anything else. Like, if you don't Protect, then I think the Thunderbolt is a roll, or, like, not really doing calcs. I hardly did calcs this game, but Thunderbolt looks to be a roll. If not, it will live on, like, a sliver, and maybe it can get off a Toxic. But I don't think you should risk that, excuse me. But I was fully expecting a Protect. This just covered for if he decided to make an aggressive into Nidoqueen, which he decides to make a switch into Rillaboom. So I'm like, okay, if you're not Assault Vest, this does like, this is one of the calcs I did, this does like 66 to like 70 something damage. Like, this is gonna do a lot. And I click Psychic, and he is not Assault Vest. Do you guys see how much damage that did? I am Expert Belt. I'm not even Life Orb. Imagine if I was Life Orb. That's crazy. But here I'm like, the switch into Corviknight is very, very obvious. I did it last time. I've been making pretty safe plays, so I can just freely click U-turn. Honestly, in my opinion, if you click Grassy Glide, you click Grassy Glide. I just didn't expect it, considering the fact that I switched in a Corviknight, and that's my dedicated switch in. But I click U-turn. I do a lot of damage. That's timid. That is timid U-turn. And I'm like, hey, you stayed in. I'm just going to go into my Corviknight. I see no problem with going Corviknight, honestly. If you click U-turn, then you're going to, or Grassy Glide, Woodhammer, anything, you're going to be taking Stealth Rock Chip. Or not Stealth Rock Chip. I took Stealth Rock Chip. But you're going to take Rocky Helmet Chip. So I found no problem with this. However, he clicks U-turn, and I'm like, oh, good, Rocky Helmet. Except he doesn't take damage. So I'm like, okay, this thing is protective pads. I'm like, did he hard read Rocky Helmet Corviknight? Maybe he did. I don't know. Good prep on him to bring, what is it called? Protective pads, Rillaboom. But here he goes into Colossal, which is very, very free on his end. I decided to make a weird play, and I decided to stay in, and I decided to click Defog because I didn't calc this, but I'm a whole Corviknight. Like, I think I eat pretty much anything. This isn't a Skarmory. This is a Corviknight. Like, I think I'm fine. That's what I was saying. Like, I think I'm okay if it decides to click Flamethrower. If it clicks Heat Crash, then I'm going to take even less. So I'm not really too worried. But he decides to click the Flamethrower here. I'm like, I'm a Corviknight. Corviknight, please eat. And Corviknight ate that. Mind you, I am fully Fizz Def. I am fully Fizz Def, and I ate that. But here, I'm like, I can click Roost. I probably healed back pretty much everything that I took from that. So I'm not really too worried. He can click Flamethrower again if he wants. And not give me the free Roost turns. But he decides to click Rocks. So I'm like, okay. You're going to click Flamethrower this turn. So I'm just going to go into my Seismitoad. Seismitoad's pretty free. And here I can actually make the right play, and I can click Toxic. Because I don't know what I was doing earlier with that Scald. That was stupid. I don't know. But yeah. So I'm like, okay, Flamethrower is gonna do like nothing. I should pretty much be able to set up like Toxic. Or even Rocks, because I clicked Defog. But I realized like that Flamethrower did a decent amount, even though I'm resisted. But nonetheless, I'm like, hey, I can click Toxic here, I can click Rocks here, either or is free. I was spamming Lukas, please Toxic in the moment because of timer. I started getting scared of timer, especially like when you're screencasting with someone else. There's always that delay. So I was like, Toxic. But Rocks were also free as well. Covered, set them back up. But I clicked Toxic on the Vaporeon switch in. I'm like, okay, this is great. Now you're on a timer. Now I can see if you actually have Heal Bell. But I am willing to take Chip on my Seismitoad in order to weaken this or get rid of this. So I decided to click Earth Power. Earth Power gets off a little bit of Chip. It also, like, you know, it piles on top of the poison damage. The Spadef drop was there, yeah, but another one killed after poison because he wasn't leftovers. I knocked off the leftovers with Scrafty. But I'm going to get that leftovers recovery, also take poison. We're both going to take poison. And here, I'm like, huh, I can set Rocks here. Like, literally, I was like, I am okay with trading away Seismitoad to weaken this Vaporeon. I was also predicting a Protect, Protect was pretty free on his end, but he would take more Toxic Chip, and he would eventually have to switch out anyway. So, like I said, I wasn't too worried about losing Seismitoad. Colossal, in my opinion, isn't really that big of a threat. I still have Scrafty, and if I get burned by Flame Body, it's not the worst thing in the world, considering I brought Facade specifically for that situation to arise. So I was like, you're thinking quite a bit. I think, honestly, like me, I'm like, I think I always protect here, honestly. Like, he's thinking quite hard. But he actually decides to switch out, which made me think, like, does this thing even have protect? Like, legit, like, I was like, and he went hard into Nidoqueen. So I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, I set up rocks, so now, unless you click Rapid Spin on Coal, you can't get rid of these rocks. So I'm like, okay, I guess this is good for me. But I am taking quite a lot from poison now. So I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna save this just in case for Inteleon, I guess. But I decided to make hold on, I'm gonna pause here. I decided to make an aggressive into Azelf because my last switch into Nidoqueen was Scrafty. I took nothing, in my opinion. He would never click Sludge Wave in front of a Seismitoad. He also, in my opinion, wouldn't click Fire Blast because of how little that did to my Scrafty before. So, and Corviknight, my first switch in, I think he realized that Corviknight wasn't my dedicated switch into Nidoqueen. So I was like, hey, you're gonna click Earth Power here. So because predicting the Scrafty to come in, so I could just go into Azelf hard on your Earth Power, and I can pressure you with Psychic. But instead of clicking Psychic here, I actually opt to click U-turn, because there's no way you're staying in on my Azelf, because I can potentially kill you. Like, literally. I think my item is hidden, honestly, unless he was doing calcs against Vaporeon Thunderbolt. But honestly, U-turn is so free. I get some free momentum, but he decides to make an amazing play. He sacks off his Vaporeon. Now, you may think that's bad, but him sacking off his Vaporeon gave him the free switch into Weavile. And I lost some momentum, and my switch-ins to Weavile are non-existent. Like, my words are hard. My switch-in to Weavile is non-existent. If he is banded, he does so much damage. However, I prep for this moment because I'm like, hey, I am okay with trading Corviknight for Weavile, as my team does not like Weavile at all. It hates Weavile. Knockoffs and triple axles, like, that hurts. So I'm like, hey, I'm okay if you kill me. Perfectly fine with that, as long as you click triple axle, which in the end he actually decided to click. I'm like, that's amazing, because you're going to be taking so much recoil, and even if you're Life Orb too, that is amazing as well, because you're going to be taking Life Orb and Rocky Helmet. But I've come to find out he's not Life Orb, so I'm like, okay, I can just click Roost on the off chance that I live, or if he gets like 2 hits of triple axle. But I wasn't too worried about it. I was okay with making this trade. Corviknight did what it needed to do this game, so shout out to Corviknight. So glad I got Corviknight. But very, very glad that this Weavile is gone, because that was one of the big, if not the biggest threat of his team. Now, I guess you could say the downside of this is the fact that I don't have a reliable switch into Rillaboom now, other than Scrafty with Intimidate, which I'm glad I put Intimidate on it and not Moxie. I don't really have the best switch-ins, so because of that, I decided, hey, instead of trying to like switch in, I can just go into Azelf and apply a lot of pressure there. But he goes into the Inteleon. Now, I was so scared. Like I said in team preview, I was so scared of Focus Energy. You have no idea. So I said, hey, I am not letting you get up a Focus Energy. If you click Focus Energy, predicting my switch, because Dark Pulse is a thing and it can kill me, I can't. I click Thunderbolt. I want you gone. I don't want you here. Inteleon is one of the big threats, but he decides to click U-turn. I'm like, oh, I eat this. Okay, that's fine. And here I'm like, oh, you're probably just going to go into Rillaboom to click Grassy Glide and Revenge Kill. But instead of going Rillaboom, I think he actually opted to go into the Nidoqueen, which kind of shocked me. I'm not going to lie. It definitely shocked me because I was like, oh, you just Revenge Kill me with Grassy Glide and I have no switch-ins. But nonetheless, I'll take it because I get free damage on this. Psychic, depending on his spread, kills. And if it doesn't, it does a lot of damage. I'm Expert Belt Stab, super effective boosted. So I do decide to click Psychic. I'm like, kill, kill, kill. I wasn't calculating this, and it lived on 1. I was like, how much you want to bet that that was a roll? And but it's fine because now, like, this is actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, this is really good because now I could go Chandelure and I could just click Shadow Ball, honestly. And by doing this, the Rillaboom doesn't come in, and it baits in the Colossal. Sorry, excuse me. Which allows me to maybe use Scrafty to potentially get some more kills or weaken down the Colossal so that Shadow Ball / Flamethrower can clean up. So I'm like, hey, I think you sack this here. I don't think you save this. In my opinion, I don't think you save this. I think it's a viable sack. But I click Shadow Ball. I get rid of the Nidoqueen, which is honestly very, very good for my team. Because that Nidoqueen was such a huge threat. But nonetheless, I think he goes into the Colossal here. I would have done the same. Yep, he goes into Colossal. I can't touch this thing. Well, Shadow Ball can touch it, but I don't do anything to it. So I'm like, I think I have to go into my Scrafty and hope and pray that I'm able to weaken this thing down to where Chandelure can click Shadow Ball and clean up. But I do go into Scrafty. I do take some Stealth Rock Chip. But I think he decided to click Spikes. Yeah, he decided to click Spikes, and good play by him because I don't have any removal. I don't have any removal anymore now that Corviknight's dead. But I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna click Drain Punch. If I get burned by Flame Body, I am not worried about it. I am not worried. I have Facade, and honestly, all I want to do to this thing is chip it down. To where Shadow Ball and God forbid, or not, well, yeah, even Flamethrower or Fire Blast can pick it off. But I click Drain Punch. I heal back all of the health that I had that wasn't, at full. I'm now at full now. I'm at 100%. And here, I'm like, I can just click Drain Punch again. It seems like it's a 4-hit KO. So I'm not really too worried about it. If he wants to click Flamethrower, by all means. Once again, not too worried about it. I want this thing weakened. But I actually crit him, which made me quite sad. I'm not even gonna lie, because the crit and then no Flame Body too. But he was just spike stacking me, and I got really, really scared because I'm like, okay, Chandelure, it can't really come in twice now, because I think Spikes does 25, and then Rocks also does 25 if it's super effective. So I'm like, dang, I don't think Chandelure can come in twice now. But unless I'm odd HP, which I think I am. But I click Knockoff and no Flame Bodies. I was like talking and I was like, is he Flame Body or is he Steam Engine? Like literally, I was like, I don't know if this thing is even Flame Body. It didn't even get a Flame Body proc at all at this battle, which it's honestly sad. I'm not even gonna lie. But he decides to go into Rillaboom, and here I think I make one of the best plays this game. I say, hey, my Clefable is literally at full. My Scrafty is literally at full. I can just sack Seismitoad. Seismitoad has done its job. I also can cycle Intimidates, so I'm not too worried about it. So I sack Seismitoad. Seismitoad did its job, honestly. It set up rocks. It applied pressure. It weakened the Weavile. He clicks Knockoff. I'm like, okay, this is great. Now I can go into my Scrafty. I can get an Intimidate off. and I can Drain Punch any damage that I take. If he clicks Superpower, then I can click Drain Punch, and Drain Punch recovery as well as Grassy Terrain will be able to heal me back up decently. If he decides to click Grassy Glide, I mean, he is minus 1 attack, so he's not going to really be doing that much, but I just take a load from spikes and rocks. Like, that's just... Whoa, hazards are so scary. But I decided to click Drain Punch here. And I didn't really see a drawback, to be honest, except like maybe Superpower, depending on how much it does. But he decides to click Knockoff. I'm like, okay, that's okay, I guess. He's trying to win an Inteleon in game, but I click Drain Punch. I heal back like a decent amount, like Grassy Terrain in combination with Drain Punch recovery. Honestly, like literally came in clutch. But here, I'm like, I kill you with the next Drain Punch, and I can pretty much get back to full depending on what you do. If you Grassy Glide, then I can get above 50%. However, like, I literally... Drain Punch is so free against this team, honestly. I could have also clicked Knockoff, but I didn't think Knockoff was necessary, considering that it's going to die to another Drain Punch, and I can heal back HP. But he decides to click Swords Dance. I'm like, I don't know if that was a misclick, or if he thought that he lived the Drain Punch. It might have been a roll, maybe. Or I might have just got the high roll. I can't wait to see his side of the battle, because I'm actually genuinely curious. Because I didn't do any calcs this game. But I killed the Rillaboom off. And Grassy Terrain in combination with Drain Punch recovery allows me to get back up to 100% HP. Which is amazing. And now he goes into Inteleon. I'm like, okay, I am not scared of Focus Energy anymore. My Clefable's at 100%. I live literally all the time. He can't be Specs. He could be Specs Snipe Shot, but I don't really think so. I think that's unlikely. But I decided to click Knockoff. I do a lot of damage, and it turns out that it's actually Choice Scarfed. Now, I kind of want to pause and talk about this. So, in the battle, I was like, Choice Scarf, that's so weird and odd. Like, I don't know. I think that's a bit obsessive in the battle. But after the match, I was looking at it. I was looking at my week 2 prep. And I was looking, and I'm like, Scarf Inteleon actually outspeeds all variants of Dracozolt except Scarf and Sand. Like, literally, Scarf Inteleon outspeeds Dracozolt in Sand. That is crazy. So in the battle, I was like, this is so weird. I don't know why you would do that. But after like the match, I realized like on my own, like, wow, that's actually amazing prep. So amazing prep done by him. Like, I didn't want to bring Dracozolt Gigalith mainly because A, was week 1 and I wanted to show that I can win without it, and 2, I personally didn't really like it. I think that like Subseed Rillaboom pretty much tackled it pretty fine. Also Grassy Terrain and Nidoqueen combination, I can't really hit it with Earthquake. So, and it could be like Shucaberry, which I think we found out that it was Black Sludge. But it could be Shucaberry, it can eat like an Earth Power or whatever, and then it can kill me back. Like, I personally didn't like Dragozolt's matchup, I'm gonna be real. But amazing prep done by my opponent. But I am going to be able to, even if he burns me with Scald, which I'm gonna spoil, he did not. Like, the hacks on his side was honestly ridiculous. I felt so bad. But he clicked Scald. I always live this even without my Assault Vest, and Scrafty will be able to clean up from there. So that is week 1 of the PBAL. Your Philadelphia Melmetals went 1-0 plus 3 from this win. I'm very, very happy that I managed to win this, especially in my week 1 and with the screen casting situation. I'm very, very glad I wasn't really too stressed about that. I definitely want to give a huge shout out to my opponent. My opponent played really, really well. No flame body procs, no scald procs. Like the scald procs were just salt at that point. Adding on to it, which was really sad, and I still feel really sorry for the hacks and everything that was going on. But once again, GG's to my opponent. Look out for week 2, which is coming next week. And once again, please, I beg you to look at his side of the battle. His will probably once again be live commentated. I will be watching alongside whoever decides to watch it with me. And yeah, so thank you all for watching. Thank you all for attending. If you guys are new, you can always drop a subscription. It's free. If you guys enjoyed the video, you can always leave a like and comment down below what you liked about it or any thoughts that you have. I love talking to my comment section. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.